want to know how you see the world. Do you seek out urban beauty? Or do you create your own landscapes? Maybe it's outdoor adventure that makes your world turn. Let us bring your passion into focus and give you the best view yet. At Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, we defy the norms by combining advanced medical eye care with Santa Fe's finest selection of luxury and artful eyeglasses. Botwin Eye Group and Oculus Optical, 2 locations in Santa Fe.
Santa Fe Gloom podcast. We are back. As always, great guest in one of our key sponsors for our very first annual baby race at our Santa Fe Gloom game, which was a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago. We have Functional Playground Therapies, Talia and Abby. Thank you both so much for jumping on today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. Before we jumped on, I was telling our guests that when I came into this room, I lost electricity somehow. So there's always something going on fun with the Santa Fe Gloom and myself. And I was like, oh no, but luckily I do have 43%. So we should be good. So Talia, can you just open up and let our viewers and our guests know what exactly is Functional Playground Therapies?
Yes. So Functional Playground Therapies is a pediatric occupational and speech therapy company. Currently, we provide occupational therapy in Peralta and Santa Fe, and then we have both occupational and speech therapy in Albuquerque, hoping to expand speech therapy to the other areas soon as well. So we started back in 2021 as just a way to reach more families. There's so many kids and families in need of these services in Albuquerque and the surrounding areas, and just not enough practitioners or teams to reach all these families. The intention really was to be mobile in the sense that we can reach families where they are. So whether that be at home, at school, at daycares, wherever they're at, we can best service them in their most functional environments, where the name comes from. So,
yeah, when I was typing out functional, it does say fun in there, right? It does spell out fun. So I thought that was really cool. And Abby, you can jump in at any time, obviously. Who are your customers? What are the age ranges?
So we advertise initially as 3 to 21. We have a lot of carryover from early intervention and some of those younger ages, and we as OTs are on our team are equipped to help those younger ages as well. So really ages birth to 21. We have the skill set and the knowledge and the wherewithal to help. So
got it. And I failed to thank our sponsors. So we have, as always, thank you guys so much, because without your support, we couldn't do any of this with the Santa Fe Gloom. So we have the Pantry Dose of Santa Fe, City of Santa Fe Economic Development, Capital Ford, the Pit Press Podcast, Go Lobos, Sam's Club, Mercedes-Benz of Santa Fe, and Oculus. And then we also have Age Friendly Senior Care, which is my company. And what we do is we help seniors age in place at home with caregivers. So Abby, for example, when we get a client, usually from a hospital or an assisted living facility, they usually go home with OT, PT, so occupational therapy, physical therapy. Are those the types of services that you're also providing? And how does that work from a senior care element where there's 80, 90-year-olds compared to your age range, which is younger people?
Yes. Well, me and Talia actually met working in acute care at a rehab hospital in Albuquerque with adults, and often more probably 60 to 80 range, but a variety of ailments, and then setting them up to go home and be as independent as possible. So it's about taking them where they're at and working on their ADLs, self-care. Can they go to the bathroom? Can they shower? Are they safe to transfer? So OT is kind of this, it can feel like it's a bunch of different things, but what it is in different practice areas. To me, I became a mom, and I remembered a lot of my pediatric training from OT school. And it's really it's taking just a much smaller person where they're at, and can they be independent and helping build their skills? Are they developing as they should? How can I strengthen their ability to have fine motor skills, gross motor skills, self confidence? How can I get them to follow a routine, be independent with those, not just their own self-care, but then eventually chores and homework. And then as they enter school, how can we make sure they're being successful at school and able to access their environment there? And so it is really different than an older age group, but those core themes of OT that I think are really cool is it's creative problem solving. So it's, if there's something that you used to be able to do, or that if you're a child that you've never done but you really want to be able to do or you want to get better at, how can we make that happen for you, in the context of your home or your school or the family? So it is different, but there are these really cool similarities.
And how do families or parents know that they need to seek out your services?
I feel like just a wide range of areas, like Abby touched on. A parent could notice, wow, my child really has trouble sitting at dinner or sitting at school or following directions. Or in the morning, I tell them to get ready and I have to stay on their case 24/7 because it's not getting done. Or, oh my goodness, my child does not want to brush their teeth. Is it because they don't like the taste of the toothbrush or the toothpaste? Do they not like the feel of the toothbrush in their mouth? I mentioned more of the sensory components, but Abby had alluded to some of the motor ones before. Like, does my child have trouble tying their shoes or buckling their seatbelt or even stacking blocks at a younger age? Some of the really little ones, parents will say, my child hates being on their stomach
Yeah.
or does not seem to visually scan when I move about the room. So there are, again, a lot of different components, but just for parents to know that an OT is a good person to ask for a wide variety of things. And if it's not in our scope, we do have resources to point you in a better direction too.
Got it. So if I'm not a parent, but let's just say I am, let's make believe, and my child is not doing those things that you just mentioned. How do I reach out to you all? Right. That's the first question. And then where is the services performed?
Yes.
So
So
first,
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
Go
so
ahead, Ed.
first they can, oh, go ahead.
So here in Santa Fe,
Mhm.
we don't yet have a clinic space that we would use.
Okay.
So I have created flyers and tried to put them places, and I run the company Instagram page. So that's how you can DM us there
Cool.
or go to our website functionalplaygroundtherapies.com and send a message. What we would do is make contact with you, find out a little bit more about what's going on, what are you concerned about, and then you would go to your primary care physician and get a referral for occupational therapy.
Got it.
And then we would send intake paperwork, a sensory profile, get some more information, and then get that evaluation set up. Here in Santa Fe, I have seen some kids in their homes. I've met a few in the community, and at a school. So the public school system has their own staff, but if it's a charter or private school, sometimes there can be a system where I'm able to see certain students but still bill outpatient, as an outpatient service, if that makes sense. What's really cool about the home or the community is getting to see a child in their natural setting and
Mhm.
seeing what they have around them and suggesting ways to utilize their already existing space, or show me what is the morning routine and where is it really breaking down, or show me how your baby is currently playing, where do you do tummy time, where are you doing feeding, and you can use the natural space to try to make functional and helpful suggestions that often are already there. You just sometimes, as a parent or a family, you might
Right.
not have thought of this specific strategy or tool to use. So, and then I've even seen some kids, I've seen them at the park to see how they do with outdoor gross motor play or sensory play. I've rented rooms at the library, and we've done OT in those spaces. So it's really cool because of the versatility. Um, so, and a lot of times, if a parent has a child who it's difficult to take them out of the home for whatever reason, if they're medically fragile, or it's just been really hard socially, or um, for they maybe they have more profound disability or more needs, then it can be really helpful to have someone come in um, to see them at home. Uh, so that's where I'm at here practicing in Santa Fe. We're hoping to get a clinic space, so that would also be an option.
So right now, Abby, you're going out into the field, so to speak, and meeting
Yes,
with your customers, right?
yes, yes,
Got it. And in terms of pay, you mentioned that this is provided through insurance most of the time.
yes.
Okay. Is this also like, uh, is it, how does the insurance work? Yeah.
Um,
And I
so
don't know. Talia, you may be able to, because again, if I'm a parent,
Of
right, like
course.
what
Yeah.
type of insurance would cover these services?
So most plans do cover services. So it is considered a specialty.
Okay.
So typically you'll see like your specialty copay on the back of your insurance card, or you can call and double check how much these types of services may cost you. All of the turquoise plans throughout New Mexico come free of charge. Services are free of charge to families. And then private insurances just vary in cost of copays. We also do accept a cash pay plan if families prefer. Some, plans are all varied or structured differently, and some prefer to pay out of pocket rather than going the high deductible route or things of that nature. So that is an option as well.
Got it. And Abby, this might be a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're, let's say, for example, walking into a home to do some like an intake,
Yes.
what are your first thoughts when you're meeting the families?
I always go into it very open, and I'm very humbled by someone letting me into their space. I'm a mom. I'm not judgmental. I don't expect it to be an immaculate space or the perfect space. I know what it feels like to feel like worried or judged if it's going to be too messy or it's going to be too small or whatever the concerns are. I'm really just there to meet the child where they're at, and I trust that the family is the expert. I am definitely coming in as an outside support, and I'm very excited to like learn as much as I can about how the child is doing and what are the dynamics and what are the family's goals. And obviously, when the children are old enough to tell me what their goals are, I want to hear those as well. But so I really just and I OTs, we can make any space work. Obviously, I have a history in the hospital, but I can make going for a walk OT or functional. I can,
Mhm,
when I've been at schools, I'll be put in a tiny closet. I can make that
mhm,
functional.
mhm,
You can make do with what you have. That's kind of the gift of OT, as long as we have a little bit of space to move and um, I can work on whatever the goals are going to be. If it is more movement based, I might want more space to do more movement. But a lot of the times, especially with little ones, it's about positioning or holding or working on rolling, sitting, strengthening core muscles. As they get older, if it's a child and a lot of their goals are about sustained attention and focus, it's going to be a lot of movement breaks paired with practicing some strategies to get more sustained focus so you can have more success at school.
mhm,
If it's social goals, I really struggle to make friends.
mhm.
It's maybe a lot more based on raising self esteem and teaching self advocacy skills so that the child knows how to en- engage, but also stand up for themselves if needed. There's just this really cool wide range of issues that we can address.
And Talia, why did you start this business? Because Abby, I mean, you said that so perfectly. I'm sure there was a moment, right, where you were just like, I've got to do this. Like this makes
Yes.
financial sense, but there's also a need for this for all these kiddos
Yeah.
to experience this and to get help. So what was
Yes.
that like that aha moment? Because
Um,
Abby, that was perfectly explained.
So I worked in this. So I first met Abby, as she mentioned, in the hospital. Then from the hospital, I transitioned to the schools. Just with my own husband being a teacher, it was a great schedule for us. And I really like pediatrics as well. But it was there that I realized that a lot of kids were getting early intervention services, which are typically 0 to 3. And then services were stopping until they got to school.
So
And
they
I
dropped
worked.
from 3 to 5.
Yes. So once they hit that school age, and I worked in more rural school districts, so that gap in services was a lot more prevalent there than it might be in more populated areas, but it's still in New Mexico, especially, is something that is occurring regularly. So I just saw that kids were missing this whole gap of space in development of skills. So they were basically being left at age 3 and then just waiting until school started. And in that same note, school services are fantastic. They're to help the child be or their best at school. So when a child qualifies for school-based services, it's, is this impacting their academic ability? Whereas with outpatient services, we get to work on a whole array of things, as we've talked about today. So my biggest thing was seeing that gap and thinking, oh my goodness, how much could have been accomplished in this bit of time before they came to school? Would they still need these services once they got to school if they had been followed throughout that entire time? So just seeing that gap in services, and then the home piece really, like we talked about, just meeting families where they're at. Not everybody has the means, the time, the transportation to get to a clinic, to get to a physical location. So just being able to provide that in the community was also a big drive.
Yeah, again, we do senior care. So we do ADLs, activities of daily living. So we help our clients with like bathing, grooming, mobility assistance, medication reminders, companionship. So I'm going into the homes as well, doing these assessments. And my number one question is I just ask them, what do you need? Right. And then they explain it just like
Yes.
you guys do, right? With your, you call them clients or
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
clients. Yeah. And then they just tell us what they need.
Yes.
So I'm just listening the whole time and
Yeah.
saying, okay, do you need mobility assistance in the morning? We come in, we make the
Yeah.
coffee, we do medication reminders, do dressing, help with socks, get you ready for the day, get you into the wheelchair or get you into the chair or wherever. So it's all about listening
Yes.
primarily. And you guys are right. Like we're just trying to be an asset to the family. We're not trying to do anything different. And I also ask, like, what's the routine? Do
Yes.
you want to
Yeah.
keep that routine? Do you want to stay home? Right. So
Yeah.
if you kind of give me some feedback on that, if that's relevant in your field,
Very
working
much.
with younger people, like, is there a fixed routine when a caregiver is sick or whatever?
Yes.
I'll fill in the caregiver with, hey, this is the routine. This is what they
Yes.
normally do, and they typically stick to it. Is
Yes.
that the same with the kids?
And yeah, I say it comes individually. So I always ask how I get the most information as I just say, like, tell me a typical day. What
Okay.
time are you waking up?
Yeah.
Then what happens? I don't take for granted that it's going to be getting dressed, going to the bathroom, eating breakfast, because even that order can be really personal to each person. And then in asking that, I can find out where is the breakdown happening, possibly. Because it might not come to the top of the parent's mind if I just openly say, what are your goals for your child? They might not think of brushing their teeth by themselves. But then
Mhm.
when we're going through what's your day like, they might be like, oh, and he can never brush his teeth. He hates how the toothbrush feels, or it's a fight, or every day it's a fight. He has all these cavities because I can't get him to brush his teeth. Then I'll learn about that part and then I'll revisit it later for sure. But I want to continue to hear the rest of the daily routine. Um, and then it's about, do you want it to be more regular and structured? Or there are kids, let's say, I know it can be a factor for kids that might have autism, that they can be very rigid with structure. And so then if something happens that is out of the ordinary, that causes this huge breakdown. So then for that person, it might be about building flexibility in the schedule, still having the predictability because that takes the anxiety piece away. But then they also, any family needs flexibility because who knows what's going to happen. So, but the routine is key. And I'd say as OTs, that's drilled into us in OT school, is
Yeah.
finding out what is a person's routine, what is their day to day like, and what time are they doing things? What's the order? When are they waking up, going to bed, doing all of those ADLs? Because that really helps us figure out the best ways to support people. So that is exactly what we do.
Perfect. Yeah, I applaud your work. So the Santa Fe Gloom is a sports team here in Santa Fe. We do futsal, which is a form of soccer. It's a smaller ball, smaller goal. Played at Santa Fe High School in the Chavez Center. And people ask, like, what's from a business perspective? They'll ask me, like, who's your target audience? And they'll mention like Northern Soccer Club or La Liga, and that used to be kind of my answer, but my answer now is kids. That's my target audience.
Yes.
And we've doubled down on that. This is going to be, we're going into our third season, or we're in our second season now, going into our third, obviously. But we help our kids in that we sponsor from 3:30 to 6:30 free futsal games, and we call them showcase games. So from 3:30 to 6:30, kids can come into Santa Fe High School or the Chavez Center and play futsal for free. So and they usually stay, right, and watch the Gloom Pro game, right? So
Yeah.
Abby, I know you went to the
Yes.
Chavez Center, and you guys sponsored our baby race. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for that. I'm very proud of that, because you have the Gloom name, which is like, outside looking in, you're like, yeah, that seems kind of dark or sad. But people here in Santa Fe, we know better. We know what
Yes.
Gloom means with tradition and culture, Zozobra,
Yes.
fiestas, good food, family. And now Gloom also means we have a pro futsal team, which is
Yes.
great. And we also have a baby race. So we have Gloom, baby race, soccer sport, fun, culture, all in the same place at a community center, which is great.
Yes.
So, Abby, what was your feedback from your whole Gloom experience and that baby race?
I thought it was so cool. I don't go to a ton of sporting events just generally, and I had to look up what futsal was, so I
Yeah.
knew before I went. It was like so engaging and dynamic. It was really fun. I loved my kids. I have a 5 and 7-year-old. I didn't know how they would do. They went with their dads because I set up a table near the
Mhm.
entrance, and so
Mhm.
I was walking back and forth so I could watch. And
Mhm.
my kids were enthralled, like especially my son. He talked about it quite a bit after. Both of them have tried soccer, um, the in the Santa Fe community, but
Mhm.
it was like I just thought it was really fun. I loved the cheerleaders were like kind
Mhm.
of given some
Yes.
pushback, but it was like
Yep.
funny, mean,
Yep.
but like, oh, it was awesome. And then the baby race was really cool because then it was like it just felt like a very welcoming environment and for kids of all ages, families, and so it didn't feel there are spaces you feel self-conscious about taking young kids because if they yell or misbehave or move around, this felt very accessible for that. I loved the setting of the community center because if you wanted to come up to the top, there's places the kids
Yeah.
could like run around if they needed a movement break and then go back, even down on the floor. Obviously, you don't want to walk on the court, but there was quite a bit ability to move. It was very cool.
Yeah, that was one of the things I really liked about the Chavez Center is you can just go all about the center as
Yes.
you please. You can go upstairs on the track, you can go on the
Yes.
bottom, you can go behind the goal because that's where we had our tent, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it was super cool. And Abby, were you able to see the actual baby race?
Yes.
Yeah. What
Yes.
was your thoughts beforehand? Like what was your prediction on that? Like what did you think was going to happen?
I wasn't sure. I thought about what happened would happen. There would be some kids that would just go for it, like because they're gonna aim for their parent, and then some were gonna be really sensorily overwhelmed and kind
Yeah.
of freeze and sit there and be like, or there'd be a lot of crying, probably maybe for some of them because it was loud and like,
Mhm.
why are you putting me down? Just hold me. So it was pretty much exactly what I thought. It was very cute. And so some kids just went for it really fast, straight line, and then other ones, it's like, no, where are you going? Come over here. Or some just sit still.
Yeah, it's super unpredictable. When
Yes.
I was doing my research, because I did research on it, I was like, all right, how long is
Yes.
this going to take? What's the element? Is there a start line, finish line? Because believe it or not, I've never done a baby race.
Mhm.
And Santa Fe's never done a baby race. This is the first time ever.
Yes.
So it's very great. Thanks to you all. Um, and the baby races that I saw on YouTube, it did take a while for the babies to kind of get to that finish line.
Yes.
However, for ours, one of those babies, I think
Great.
it was a baby, the
Yeah.
little girl, she
Yes.
just went straight through.
Yes.
And I was like, she just stole the show.
Yes.
And then we looked back onto the YouTube video, and I think her mom had like these crackers, or she had something on the other side,
Yes,
and
to
that baby
motivate,
was
like,
just like,
yep. I
I'm
want
there.
that. Yes.
And that was it. And it was Amanda Chavez, counselor Chavez, who was doing kind of the commentary. And
Yes.
he was like, well, what do I do after the first person or the first baby won? I was like, well, let's just go for second place and third
Yes.
place, you know,
Yes.
because that baby just stole the show completely. So
Well, it's kind of like it's a perfect example of how our sensory systems are all different. Because
yeah.
I think all of those babies have the skills to crawl, like the motor skills, but it's like when you're put in a specific environment setting, some can block everything out. And that
Mhm.
doesn't make them like a more skilled crawler,
Mhm.
right? But they can block everything out and go for it. And then some, it's going to be, whoa, what are all these people and this sound? And then some it's going to be wonder, and then some that's going to make them like feel overwhelmed and stressed, and they might cry. So it was very cool.
Yeah. And the audience, the spectators, the Gloom fans, they actually kind of rush the court a little bit
Yes.
to see the babies.
Yes.
It was so cool, and I kind of felt bad for some of the babies because you're right, the babies were just looking around like, what is going on?
Yes.
So it's very good.
Yeah.
What else did we miss, ladies? This was great. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you for
Um,
having us.
yeah, we'll definitely have you again for our sponsor if you guys like for our second annual baby race.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you know, I joke, but I'm thinking like, how do we get more sponsors, and like, how can we like place bets on these little babies?
Yeah. Yes.
You absolutely.
It just make
I-
it something fun, you know, have a lottery. And I think we had probably, Abby, 10 babies at least,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
I really do think that it could be way bigger than that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why we can't make a connection with St. Vincent's Hospital and
Oh,
say, you
yeah.
know, every baby born here in Santa Fe or Presbyterian, wherever, you know, you get a little note from the Gloom saying, hey, start training for the baby race.
Yes. Yes.
And, you know, we can plug your company on there and just have a good time, you know.
Yes.
So
Right.
I
If
think
you
those are all
need
kind of,
help preparing your baby who's not crawling, we got you.
that's true too. That's exactly it.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a referral source just in case you need that extra momentum.
Yeah.
You have Abby and Talia telling you guys how to do this. So cool. Thank you both so very much. If it wasn't for your company, so many of these kids, you know, they would kind of not be left behind, but they would just struggle more so, right? And that's my mom's a kindergarten teacher, a retired kindergarten teacher.
Awesome.
And she would always say, you know, everything you learn in kindergarten, right? And it's just such like a valuable age, you know,
Yes.
from 0 to 5 is like when you're learning really most of the world.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, so thank you both for investing in that community. We'll definitely have you guys back on and a sponsor for our second annual baby race next year.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you.
Thanks.